Welcome, dear viewers, to this profound philosophical journey, a journey that takes us to the heart of the 18th century, to a France that was simmering with ideas before it erupted in revolution. Our journey today is with a book that was not merely a philosophical text, but a spark that changed the face of history and inspired millions around the world with one idea: that freedom is not given, but made. The book is The Social Contract, published by the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau in 1762. A book described as the gospel of modern liberty and as one of the most influential works in human political thought, alongside the works of Plato, Montesquieu, and Marx. Rousseau was not a philosopher living in an ivory tower. He was a human being of flesh and blood who lived poverty and loneliness and suffered from societal rejection. But he transformed his suffering into thought and his vision into a revolution against injustice, against tyranny, and against the idea that man is born a slave. In the very first pages of the book, Rousseau wrote his timeless sentence that shook the world. Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains. This sentence alone was enough to make kings fear, philosophers marvel, and revolutionaries dream. Chapter 1. The idea of the social contract. Rousseau begins with a simple yet dangerous question. If man is born free, how did he become governed and enslaved? Where did the authority of kings come from? And who gave governments the right to command and be obeyed? Rousseau does not accept that authority stems from coercion, inheritance, or conquest, as was common. Instead, he believes that true authority can only be built upon a free agreement between people, an agreement that makes them form a civil society, where each individual relinquishes a small part of his natural liberty in exchange for living in security and justice. This is the social contract. Not a written document, but a spiritual and rational agreement among the people to establish a state that protects their rights and expresses their collective will. Rousseau believed that man in his natural state, before the emergence of societies, was good, simple, living freely and peacefully, governed by compassion more than law. But when private property appeared, corruption began, exploitation emerged, and the powerful started controlling the weak. Hence came the need for a new contract, one that would restore the balance between liberty and order. Chapter 2. The General Will. The philosophical core of Rousseau's thought is the concept of the general will, volonté générale. He differentiates between the will of all and the general will. The will of all is the sum of individual desires, while the general will is what expresses the common interest, the public good that transcends personal whims. Rousseau says, "When the people freely express their opinions, their voices meet in truth upon a single interest." The general will, then, is the voice of the people when they speak with a living conscience. It is what grants legitimacy to laws and what makes governance just. The ruler, in Rousseau's view, is not a master, but an agent of the people executing their will. If he betrays it, his right to rule falls. Because authority is not a gift, but a contract based on mutual trust. Thus, the idea of popular sovereignty, which was revolutionary in the age of kings, became the cornerstone of modern democracy. From it sprang slogans like liberty, equality, fraternity in the French Revolution, just 30 years after the book's publication. Chapter 3. Liberty and Law. Rousseau presents a profound vision of liberty. For him, freedom is not about doing whatever we want, but about obeying the law that we have set for ourselves. In other words, to be free is to be one's own master, not a slave to one's desires or to the commands of others. In the state governed by the social contract, laws do not restrict people. Rather, they protect them from chaos and injustice. Law is what makes freedom possible, because without law, freedom turns into anarchy, and man returns to the jungle where the strongest rules. From this emerges the beautiful paradox in Rousseau's thought. In order for man to be free, he must obey. But it is obedience to reason and justice, not to the king and the sword. Chapter 4. Civil Religion. Rousseau observed that religions in his era were used to justify tyranny. He does not reject religion, but he rejects its transformation into a tool for political control. Therefore, he called for what he termed civil religion, meaning the belief in shared moral principles, justice, compassion, liberty, and respect for the laws. This civil religion unites people without making them slaves to priests or rulers. It is a kind of faith that serves both the homeland and the human being. Chapter 5. Revolution and Freedom. Rousseau's ideas did not remain in books, but went out into the streets. The social contract was the intellectual fuel that ignited the French Revolution in 1789. The people who were raising the slogan, "We want bread and liberty," were in reality echoing his words. Even in America, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington were influenced by its spirit in drafting the Declaration of Independence. Rousseau did not live to witness all of this, but he was the spiritual father of a new era, the era of rights and democracy. The philosophical conclusion. The social contract is not just a book about politics, but about humanity, about the dream that people can live together without enslaving one another. Rousseau wants to tell us freedom does not mean anarchy, and justice does not mean absolute equality, but a balance between the individual and the community, between desire and duty. In our modern world, Rousseau's question still haunts us. Are we truly free? Or have we replaced the chains of kings with the chains of money, media, and interests? Rousseau calls upon us to rediscover the social contract within ourselves, to be partners, not slaves, citizens, not subjects, to create a system that serves humanity, not the other way around. When people lose their liberty, they lose their humanity. Thus we come to the end of our journey with the social contract, the book that changed the meaning of politics forever and made freedom not a dream, but a sacred right. If you liked this summary, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive our upcoming journeys with the greatest books of human thought. See you in a new journey, where together we discover how ideas shape the destiny of the world.